All right. So happy you guys are here today joining us on another live stream. Happy Friday. You guys may have seen our topic for today on social media, but today we'll be talking about how you go about choosing your best fit college. And I'll go into a little bit about what that means in just a second. But first, I wanted to review what you guys have learned so far and how it correlates to today. So with Dustin and Daniel, you guys learned about the different degree types that are available to you in higher education. With Kristen on Wednesday, you guys learned about the different college tracks and different roadmaps there are to get those degrees. And lastly, through all the sessions we've had, we've kind of reviewed all the different institutions that offer those degrees. So out of all the colleges and universities out there, how do you go about choosing which college is best fit for you? So today we're going to review the 4 factors of fit, or the 4 main things you should take in consideration when choosing the college that is best for you. Alrighty, so what exactly, let me go back, my bad. Okay, so what exactly are the 4 factors of fit, or the 4 things you should take in consideration when looking at different schools? So the first thing we're going to talk about is academic match, then affordability, personal preferences, and institutional offerings. All right, so the first factor, academic match, is obviously extremely important when you're looking at different colleges because you need to make sure that you're applying and choosing a school that fits your academic skills, needs, and future career goals. So one of the things that you want to look at when looking at these different institutions is what is the graduation and retention rate at those specific schools. You need to see, do most freshmen that attend that school continue on in their sophomore year? And do most of the students that attend that school graduate on time? These statistics will matter to you because this can also affect how successful you will be at that institution. Another thing that you want to look at that's very important is major. You need to see, does this college offer the major that you want? You guys are going to college to major in something to be able to get the career that you want in the end. So you need to make sure where you want to go fits with your end career goals. A good example of this that we learned is that Tarleton State University has an animal science degree. UTA does not. UTA does have an aerospace engineering degree. Tarleton does not. So you need to make sure what you want to do is offered at that school you are interested in. Very important. And lastly, another thing that you need to look at is your SAT scores, your GPA and class rank, and how your scores compare to those of the enrolled students at the institutions that you're interested in. So an easy way to kind of organize all of this is to kind of put it in a ranking system. So for example, if you're applying to a college where your class rank and test scores are below average for that school, you would categorize that as a reach college. Colleges where your class rank and test scores are well above average for that school, you would categorize that as a safety school. And the colleges where your class rank and test scores are at or above average for that school, that would be a best fit college. And this isn't to say that you shouldn't be applying to schools that are considered reach colleges for you. This is just saying you need to have a variety of different options. Imagine if you only applied to reach colleges where your scores were below average and you did not get accepted into any of them. You need to make sure that you have options and that you are choosing schools that fit your academic skills and that will fit you best academically. Okay. So the next factor we're going to talk about is affordability. This is up there in level of importance with academic match, because considering the cost of where you go to school, it should be a top priority. This will affect the debt that you may carry into the future and the likeliness of you continuing your education at a specific institution and or graduating at that institution. So you guys have heard us talk a lot about cost of attendance at different schools, and we've kind of gone into it, but I just wanted to overview it really quick. What are the costs that a student needs to pay when they enroll into an institution of higher education? So here I have a list that I just want to overview. These are the major big bucket payments that you will have to be paying as a student in college. The first one is tuition and fees. As you guys have learned, that is the cost of the classes that you have to take as an enrolled student. Housing, whether you live on campus and you're paying for housing or even at home, you may have to pay for rent. Same thing with meal plans, books, those are pretty pricey, so you need to make sure you budget for that. Transportation, whether you are commuting from home meaning traveling every day from home to a school, or you're living on campus, you need to budget also for gas for trips back home or to work. Personal expenses, this could be cell phone bills, insurance, clothes, etc. And then lastly, miscellaneous expenses like entertainment, those things that really don't fit into these other categories. So now that you know what you're going to have to be paying for as a student in college, you need to compare the cost. You need to look at all the institutions that you're interested in and say, how much does it cost to go to each one of these schools, and compare them. You need to ask yourself, is one significantly more affordable than the other? Is one's tuition way higher than the other? Do you qualify for financial aid? And does one institution offer you scholarships or tuition programs that you may qualify for? And lastly, with all those things combined, you need to minus all the financial aid that you receive from the cost of attendance at an institution, and ask yourself, how much will I still owe in the end? And I have a visual to explain that in just a second. It's kind of confusing, but first I wanted to review the free tuition programs that are available to you guys. Alrighty, so you guys may have seen this pamphlet going around in the after-school program, but just like the name suggests, there are several free tuition universities in Texas that basically, if you meet a certain criteria, you can go to that college or university tuition free, meaning you will only have to pay for things like housing, meal plans, etc. And that will drastically slash the price of the cost of attendance at that institution by a lot. So each of these different colleges and universities that have these programs have their own measure of criteria and requirements, but they generally follow these requirements that I have listed here. Typically, to qualify, a student must have their family must have an annual gross income below a set amount. They must be Pell eligible, meaning they must qualify for financial aid. And if they do qualify for the program, to maintain in the program, they must keep a certain GPA and take a certain amount of credit hours each semester. So let's go ahead and look at this example here with SFA. Say you are applying to SFA and you get accepted. If your family makes below $30,000 a year and you are Pell eligible, you will go to that university tuition free. And to stay in that program, they ask that you maintain a GPA of 2.2 or higher each semester and take at least 15 credit hours each semester. And here I have other examples, but I have the link to our website where we have the full list. There are tons of them. And these are just really great options for those of you who eventually want to transfer into a four-year university or start off directly at a four-year university. Okay, so let's just go back to this slide and kind of recap. So, like I said, when you're comparing the cost of different colleges, you need to look at how much does it cost to go there and minus all your financial aid. Any tuition programs you qualify for, like I just reviewed, any money that you receive from your FAFSA, and then any other scholarships, institutional scholarships, things like that, and ask yourself, how much do I owe at the end? So here, to make this a little bit easier to understand, I created some visuals. I have some example financial aid award letters, and these are very simplified versions of what they actually look like. I made it a little bit simpler just for the sake of explaining it better. But in this situation, we have a student that applied to 3 different colleges and universities. So let's look at TCU first, Texas Christian University. So this student here received the full Pell Grant from their FAFSA. They got the scholarship, the Marty Scholarship, and they were also granted a very large scholarship from TCU, $20,000, which is great. But because the cost of attendance at TCU is so high, because they have a very high tuition rate because they are a private school, it doesn't make quite the dent in the amount that they're going to have to owe after aid. The student is still going to be owing close to $36,000, which is very expensive. Versus their other options like UTD, this student qualified for the free tuition program at UTD. So that in combination with their other financial aid, they will only be owing $2,800 a year to attend UTD, which is very affordable for a university. And lastly, let me move this off my screen a little bit. And lastly, the student also applied to TCC. And because the cost of attendance at TCC is so low, their financial aid award package minus the cost of attendance, they will actually have a surplus of money, almost $3,000 extra that they could use towards transportation, books, etc. But I just wanted to show you guys this and show you how important it is to budget, look at the cost of attendance, get all your financial aid, subtract it, and compare and see how much you truly will be paying and owing to the university at the end of each year. It's very important in determining if a college is fit for you financially. I also did want to say that the example with Texas Christian University isn't always the case. We do have students that apply to private schools and get amazing financial aid packages, and they go to the school for very comparable amounts as these other examples like UTD and TCC. Alrighty, so the third factor we're going to cover is personal preferences. Say you have two universities that you got accepted into that they both fit you well academically as well as financially. How would you go about determining which one's better for you? You can use this factor of personal preferences and ask yourself, what kind of campus life do I want? Do you want to go to a school where it's a big campus, a small campus? Do you want to live at home? Do you not mind commuting? These are things that could make that defining decision on which college might just be better fit for you. And this kind of goes along with the fourth and final factor, which is institutional offerings. Again, if you have two schools that are fit for you both academically and financially, you can ask yourself, does one of those institutions offer me something that might be a little bit more beneficial for me than the other? So this could be things like lab facilities at the university, the student to teacher ratio, or tutoring services available at that program. One example that comes to mind is SSS. SSS, or Student Support Services, is basically the college version of Upward Bound. They're a program that provides the same kind of resources that we do, and that might help you make a decision between two colleges, which one might just be better fit for you. Alrighty. So all these factors are so important, and you need to make sure that they are working together and that you're researching within all these factors to find the best fit for you. We're going to go over a few examples, but first I just wanted to say the secret word of the day. Let's see. Let's do cheese. We're just going full circle. Those first few workshops were very cheese related. So the secret word for today is cheese. Alrighty. So let's go back to the presentation. I have a few examples here. I might go over one or two really quickly. Let me figure out to move this off my screen. Okay. So I have here a mock academic record for this student. Her name is Jane, and she applied to UT. And let's see why UT was such a great academic match for her. So if we look at UT's admission requirements, to get automatically accepted, you must be in the top 6% of your class. If we look over here, Jane is ranked 5 out of 167. So she is within that top 6%, and therefore UT does fit her well academically. Another thing is her career goal is engineering. And if you look on UT's website, you'll see that they do offer the degree plan and major engineering. So UT was a great fit for her academically. So now let's look at how it fits her within the affordability factor. So if we go over here, we see the cost of attendance at UT with tuition, books, supplies, room and board is roughly $24,691. And if we go back to Jane's record, we see that she got some money from her Pell Grant as well as a good amount of scholarships. And that amounts to around $22,000, which is very comparable to the amount that she will owe to go to that university. So this is a great factor, a great fit for her financially. And lastly, we have her personal preferences listed here. It says Jane wants to have new life experiences, broaden her horizons, and doesn't mind being far from home. Well, if we look here, UTA is a large campus where she could definitely broaden her horizons and have new experiences, and it is away from home. So just wanted to give you guys this example of how you should combine these factors and how they should all work together in finding the college that is best for you. Okay, let's see. I won't go through these other examples. I just wanted you guys to get the gist. But once again, guys, choosing where you go to school is one of the biggest decisions you guys are going to have to make in your young lives. And it's just important that you evaluate it very carefully and that you do research within these different factors and use them together to choose the college that is best for you. Upward Bound is with you guys every step of the way. That's why we are here. Our goal is to help you guys find the college or university that is best for you. So utilize us, reach out to us if you have any questions ever. We're here. That's what we're for. Okay, so I have here the link to the questionnaire. And in it, you guys are going to tell us a little bit about which school you feel might be your best fit.